Hello, Chicago. Welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick with you here on just another misery Monday for the Chicago Bears. What the hell was that yesterday? The Bears had the Lions on the ropes and instead lose in historic fashion in Motor City yesterday. We will discuss, we will lament, we will break things down. We will try to all do this with sober minds and less than foul mouths. No guarantees on that last part. Elsewhere in the city, the Bulls are getting ready to take on the Miami Heat. Once again, they surprised the Heat last week after trailing huge early in that game. They came back to beat the Heat. Will we see similar things tonight? We'll check in and we'll also discuss the goings-on with the Zach LaVine trade rumors. And then finally, before we get out of here, we'll have another college football roundup. Plus, there are some wrestling events going on in the city this week that we will sneak a peek on before things are all said and done with the show tonight. All that and more coming on up. This episode of Chi-Town Weekly. Buckling on up. Let's go. And once again, hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight as we kick off episode 159 of Chi-Town Weekly. My goodness, been doing this for 3+ years now. My goodness. Lots to go over tonight. Of course, we're going to be breaking down the Bears and that whatever that was yesterday in Detroit. We're going to be talking Bulls as they are taking on the Miami Heat. And then we got some other goodies lined up for us. Of course, some college football talk and then also some wrestling talk before we get out of here tonight, before things are wrapped up for the night. But before we begin, of course, we need to acknowledge our sponsor here at the show, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky that you can get your hands on. And right now they are offering free shipping on all orders of $50 or more. Doesn't matter what your palate is. They've got them from the savory smoke and barbecue style. They've got sweet pepper teriyaki, volcanic jalapeno, or if you just want to pound the ever-living self out of your taste buds, they've got Carolina Reaper if you dare. Excellent packaging. I love the little facts on the back of the bags about space that they feature on all of their packaging. Planet, once again, huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. And then IE Sports Radio for the last 9.5 years, bordering on 10. IE Sports Radio has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. You can also check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com, for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month pages dedicated to each of our shows, the IE Sports Radio Community Forum, and of course, stop by the shop and check out the merchandise, especially with the holidays right around the corner. My in-laws just got into town, which means we are officially in holiday season. Definitely check out the shop and get yourself some merchandise. Thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. This show is also available for you on X. You can find us at IESRC. Follow along with us that way. Or if you want to follow along with me directly, you can find me on X. I am at Adam_Karnick. And if you are listening live tonight on Spreaker.com, hop on into the chat room. Taryn Rodriguez is there. Larry B. is there. Good evening, gentlemen. Taryn, hoping that we have as awesome of a show as we can. Both Larry and Taryn are lamenting the Bears. We'll get to that in just a second. Or if you just want to sit back and listen to the show, or if you're listening later on in the week as a podcast, whether it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Amazon, iTunes, Google Playlists, whatever your method is for listening to us, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Larry lamenting in the chat room, those Bears. And Taryn emphasizing that the Bears soiled Fields' glory. Yeah, that was as frustrating and demoralizing of a loss as you're going to have. We saw this, unfortunately, we saw this earlier in the season, the final loss of the epic 14-game losing skid was a massive blown fourth quarter lead that resulted in the Broncos taking one from the Bears at home. This one, you were double-digit lead with 4 minutes to go in the game. You're a defensive coach. You have been flustering Jared Goff, who's had an outstanding season. You've flustered him all day, forced him into 3 interceptions. You finally got the takeaways. That was one of the biggest missing pieces from the Bears defense. You know, they've been good at stopping. They've had a little bit of a resurgence here lately in the last month and a half or so. They've been keeping the point totals down. They've been keeping the opponent's running games down. They've been doing good things. They just haven't been taking the ball away or sacking the quarterback. You saw the takeaways yesterday. 4 of them. 3 interceptions. Jared Goff had, 2 interceptions all season heading into the game yesterday? And you got him to throw 3 in that game. And I was reminded of a conversation that I had with a friend of mine who's a Lions fan before the season, and it was what's going to stop the Lions this year? And it's, well, if Jared Goff turns back into a pumpkin, then that's what could very easily stop the Lions. And you saw Jared Goff turn back into a pumpkin yesterday. He looked rattled. He looked out of sorts. You didn't have him in any kind of a comfortable groove. According to ESPN, with 4 minutes and change to go in the game, the Bears had a 98.2% chance of winning that game. You know, that's you play the game out from that point on the rest of the season. Goff had He had 5 interceptions coming into the game yesterday. He's now got 8. You know, he didn't have, I'm looking at his numbers. He didn't have a game with more than 1 all season. You got him for 3. You know, that was his worst quarterback rating of the season yesterday. He had a quarterback rating of 68.3. That's worse than the rating he had when they got trounced in Baltimore last month. Not much lower, but still lower. A lower QB rating overall. And you couldn't win that game. You couldn't win that game. I was flipping back and forth between television and radio yesterday. I was trying to get some yard work done. So I watched the first half, then I listened to most of the second half on the radio as I was cleaning up leaves and trying to get the outside taken care of while it was still nice. You know, the good weather that we've had lately. And it was, you got to that final drive. You wondered how's Fields going to look coming into the game. And he looked spectacular. He had an excellent game yesterday. No complaints about Justin's game. He did the things that you were asking of him. He was decisive. He was efficient. The game plan was good overall. You mixed in his athleticism, which forced the defense, which that's a terrific defense in Detroit, by the way. Of course, Aiden Hutchinson is, of course, just a monster. But I was really impressed with that rookie safety that they have. Brian Branch played really well yesterday. They've got something there with that young man. I like him. Jack Campbell played well. That is a top-notch defense there in Detroit. I will gladly give them that. That is an excellent unit that they've got over there. And you kept them on their heels yesterday. They have to respect Fields' athleticism, and Fields was turning plays. He was creating throwing lanes with his legs yesterday. That's one thing I've talked with some Bears fans and listened to some talk about, you know, why Bajan over Fields, or why Justin Fields isn't the guy. And it's, well, his athleticism, you know, that's not as big of an asset as you want. You know, you'd rather him throw the ball to the playmakers than have him make a play time after time after time. And you're missing the point. The athleticism forces the defense to have to make a choice. Do I come up and cover him, or do I stay in my assignment? Do I remain in my passing assignments, or do I come up and go get him? And you saw that at the end of the game yesterday, where Fields surveyed, broke out of the pocket, and, you know, chicken salad out of chicken poop, and 30-yard gain to put him in field goal range at the end. That's putting that's all right. The defense says, hey, we're not going to let you throw the ball. You take off and run. Okay, fine. I'll go get 30 yards for you. Boom. And he had plays where it was breaking out of contain, but still looking to throw. Guys were coming to attack him. Oh, look, you know, now I've run over here, so the defender has come out of his lane, out of his zone assignment, and now DJ Moore is open. He wasn't before, but because I was able to move, Now he's open. Now I can reset and throw to him. And a guy that was covered is now wide open. That's what the athleticism of Fields can do for you. That's why, that's part of why he still can be the answer. And yet, one of the things that the Bears coaches want to see from Justin as we get to the end of this season, can he protect leads? Can he operate that 4-minute offense at the end of the day when you're only up by a score and you've got to milk the clock and ice this game away? That's one of the things that we wanted to see. And you got it. You got that scenario. Yeah, you would have rather not let the Lions drive down and score and go 75 yards in 6 plays. You would have rather that not happened. But it was, hey, here you go. Here's the assignment. Let's see if Justin can pass it. And they took the ball out of his hands. I don't get it. 3 minutes left. You're starting at your own 25. Yes, you want to make the Lions burn their timeouts. Yes, running is safer. But they were selling out to stop the run. Thayer pointed it out perfectly. They've got 9 guys in the box. There were 9 defenders in the box. They knew what the strategy was, and they were determined to not allow that strategy to work. And yet you couldn't see that. You couldn't foresee that as a coaching staff. At the end of the day, when you get into the late game stages, ultimately you've got to have talent. It's the players over coaches in that scenario. So the players have got to own some of this. Khalil Herbert, you've got to figure out some way to pick up some yards and eat some time off that clock. You've got to figure out a way to get around some of those defenders. Tyler Scott, you cannot stop on your route. You can't stop on your go route and think that Justin can't hit you from that far, because he can. That would have been a game sealer right there. Talk about a walk-off. So instead, you've got a team that, once again, can't finish. The Bears can't finish. Part of me wants to get worked up. Part of me wants to get angry. And don't get me wrong, there is a very significant portion of my inner fan that just wants to But what more is there to say at this point about Eberflus and Getsy? They're scared. They were scared to go win that game. And that's not anything new. We've already seen that this season. When the time comes to make the big boy call, the big boy decision, they don't want to do it. The Eberflus makes such a huge deal about his H.I.T.S principle. There was never a better indicator than yesterday's game that the H.I.T.S principle doesn't mean jack. Look at what you did yesterday. You generated 4 takeaways. You only turned it over one time on offense. The Bears were smart with the football. They dominated time of possession. Over 40 minutes, they held the ball. Mike Pat, who would win in a real-life battle between a lion and a bear? Well, what kind of a bear is it, first of all? Let's start there. And instead, you threw it away. You threw it away because you got scared. You wanted to see, can your quarterback win in these situations? The test was right there, and you refused to let him take it. That, I think, is the single most frustrating part about yesterday. Not that they gave up 17 points in the last 2.5 minutes of that game. Though that's frustrating too. Not that you're the first team in NFL history to possess the ball for 40 minutes, generate 4 takeaways, and lose. The most frustrating part to me was you even said the week leading up to the game that one of the things you want to see from Justin Fields is how does he manage the 4-minute situation to ice the game. The test was right there, and you refused to let him take it. That's the most frustrating part to me. And it's just yet another nail in the coffin for Matt Eberflus and company. The Lions were right there, prime for the taking, and they couldn't finish the job. Beyond frustrating. But also just so typical and so utterly predictable. We are going to take a break, and on the flip side, I wish I could say it now, we're going to talk about a team that's doing really well in the city, but unfortunately we can't have nice things. We're going to check in on the Chicago Bulls in the 12th place in the Eastern Conference, Chicago Bulls, and see how they're faring against the Miami Heat. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff from my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, direct for all that is sports. Mike Pat, you asked the question, so of course I've got to answer it. You asked right before the break there, who would win in a real life fight between a lion and a grizzly bear? That's what the bear in the Chicago Bears is, a grizzly. After a thoroughly exhaustive 10-second Google search, this is according to A to Z Animals.com. A grizzly bear would win a fight against a lion, probably with a grizzly bear breaking the lion's back or biting through its skull. The lion indeed has an advantage in terms of their skill in hunting, especially if they are attacking in a pack. However, in a one-on-one fight, the grizzly bear has many advantages. For example, the grizzly bear has a significant size advantage because it weighs more, grows longer, and stands taller than the lion. Also, a lion cannot match a grizzly for raw power. While a lion is stuck fighting on all fours, the grizzly bear can rear back. As an ad changed my line of sight there, sorry. While a lion is stuck fighting on all fours, the grizzly bear can rear back onto its hind legs, essentially allowing it to climb on top of its foe. This technique is regularly employed by grizzly bears attacking deer. The Lion is swifter and more agile, but it's not too quick and agile to avoid every attack from a grizzly. The multifaceted grizzly would maul the lion with bites, clawings, and paw smacks that would severely injure the smaller creature. If the grizzly managed to get on top of a lion and use its weight in the fight, then the bear would bite the lion's back, breaking its vertebrae, and then finish it off with a skull-crushing bite. There you go, Mike Pat. Asked and answered in a fight between a real-life lion and a real-life grizzly bear. The grizzly bear would win. Maybe that's what the Bears needed to do yesterday, is get a real-life grizzly out there. Maybe that would have worked. Dan Campbell probably would have been just fine with that. Coach kneecap biter, or whatever the heck. Anyway, back to business. That's not why you were here, I don't think, but maybe we learned something there. Maybe we learned something out of this. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Bulls are playing host to the Miami Heat tonight. And with 2 minutes and change left to go in the first quarter, the Heat are up 29-21. To this point in the game, as I want to pull up the full box score, because at the moment the only guy on the floor for the Bulls that scored is DeMar, but he's not leading the way. Vucevic and Caruso right now are tied with the team lead with 6 points apiece. Between the two of them, they're 4 of 7 from the floor. Caruso, 2 for 2 from the three-point line. So that's keeping the Bulls in it at this point. Zach LaVine, just 2 points on 1 of 2 shooting from the floor at this point. Meanwhile, for the Heat, they are led right now. Duncan Robinson has 11 points to lead the Heat right now on 4 of 6 shooting, including 3 of 5 from the three-point line already. Haywood Highsmith already with 3 assists for the Heat as well, as they're nearing the end of the first quarter there. The Bulls played the Heat at the end of last week, over the weekend. Did not get off to the best of starts in that game. They trailed at one point 20-1. However, the Bulls were able to come back and win that one 102-97. A huge 34-point fourth quarter was the difference in that one, as Alex Caruso hit a clutch 3 to get the Bulls ahead late. So can they make it 2 in a row against the Heat? We hope so. We're going to keep an eye on it, and hopefully they'll be able to do something. But as we sit here 12 games into the NBA season, just about a month into the NBA season, the Bulls are just 5-9. They are 12th place in the East. They're in front of only 3 clubs at this point: Charlotte, Washington, and Detroit. Not exactly, stellar company to be keeping at this point in the season. They have lost both of their in-tournament games, too, at this point. They've got their next one of those coming up here on Friday, I believe. Yeah, the 24th. So Black Friday, they are in Toronto to take on the Raptors, their next part of the in-season tournament. The big news, of course, with the Bulls last week, since last we spoke, was the huge trade rumors of Zach LaVine apparently is already on the trade block, and he has acknowledged that he's open to the idea of getting traded. They signed him to that max contract. I believe that was last offseason. He's one of their big 3. He and DeMar and Vooch are their primary 3 guys. But this isn't working. It's the same story we've talked about, really ever since the ball boy ever since Lamar went down. That they don't have a quarterback out there. They don't have a leader on the floor. They've got some good parts, but the parts don't work together well. The parts don't. They're all good individual parts on their own, but as a collective, they're a mess. They don't work well. They don't gel well together. It's incredibly early to be hearing about trade talk. I mean, it's November. We haven't even hit Thanksgiving yet. So to be talking about selling already, and the NBA is complicated too. Part of the reason you normally don't hear about trades in November in the NBA is because it's almost impossible to do them. The NBA, like so many weird things with trading in the NBA, guys that just signed contracts aren't eligible to be traded until the middle of January. So that's part of the issue. But it's so early to be already declaring yourself a seller, even though the Bulls probably aren't going to go anywhere this season. And I don't think that would surprise any. I don't think I'm shocking anybody or making a bold prediction here by saying I don't think the Bulls are going to go anywhere this year. That they just it doesn't feel like this is a playoff team right now. But still, to be a month into the season and already you're announcing your intentions. And so that naturally brought up, well, who would be the likely suitors and what might the Bulls be able to expect in a trade? And you see, some of the usual suspects. The Lakers, of course, pop up because they're the Lakers. There's not a single player in the NBA that the Lakers aren't interested in acquiring at some point or another. I also saw the Golden State Warriors pop up. The Heat actually came up. Were one of the teams that was suggested that could make a move for LaVine, and adding somebody that gives you some 3-point scoring. Something that the Heat don't have a ton of, just scoring. Mike Pat talking about the Wizards. Their main trade assets are playing like garbage. Hey, you got to go. The Bulls aren't trying to lose, and they're losing too. So, they're not that much better. They're only a couple spots higher, as you pointed out. And the Bulls are doing this while trying to win. But that it begs the question, what could you get? And one thing I would like to see the Bulls get, as I do, I threw a poll up there on X at IESRC. Follow along there, or you can follow me at Adam_Karnick. Or, of course, following the station at IE Sports Radio. I threw up there is, do you think that the Bulls trade LaVine? Do you think this happens? And the yes was the winning decision there for most people. But one thing I didn't see mentioned a lot in the trade talk was draft capital. Because to me, and I know that, like a lot of things with the NBA, it's complicated. But I'd like to see them get some draft picks in return for Zach LaVine. Taking a look, this is from fanspo.com, breaking down what draft picks they've got. They've got Portland's first-round pick next year, but it's protected. Basically, if it's in the top half of the draft, they wouldn't get it. They've got their own first-round pick in 2024, but then they don't have another draft pick then until the first round of 2026, first round of 2027, first round of 2028. Then finally 2028 is when they finally get back into the second round. And then 2029 and 2030, they have their own first and second round picks. They owe a second round pick next year to either Boston or New Orleans. They owe their first round pick in 2025 to San Antonio, which there's protections on it, and it's complicated and ridiculous. Basically, it just keeps deferring, but they owe their second round pick in 2025 to San Antonio, a 2026 second round pick to Washington, and a 2027 second round pick to Washington. I'd like to see them get some draft capital back. You know, Mike pointing out that draft picks in the NBA are beyond complicated. Some have 5 trades with 4 protections on them. Yeah, it's ridiculous to try to keep track of it. It's who owes what to where to who to how and when, and the fact that you could just trade into perpetuity. You know, you could trade away a 2030 draft pick right now. Who in their right mind would be doing that? But honest, and I know that in the NBA, when you do trades, you've got to take money and salary into account. I'll have to look at it. Mike is asking, how in the heck did the Wizards get 2 second-round picks from Chicago? I'd have to see what. Let me see if I can get some details on what that trade was. But it's complicated to trade picks in the NBA, but I'd like to see the Bulls get some draft capital back. I know that they're going to have to get some players back because of the salary. That was the Bulls traded their 2026 and 2027 second rounders to Washington so that the Bulls could pick 35th overall this year. That was and then they took Julian Phillips out of Tennessee. So that was how the Wizards wound up with those. So that trade just happened this past draft, this past summer. Mike, is how that one went down. The Bulls had to have Julian Phillips. They didn't have a second round pick this year, so they gave away 2 future seconds to get into the second round this year and take Julian Phillips. So I know they're going to have to be getting some salary back. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be complaining either. At Julian Phillips, I'm sure he's in the G League at the moment. Let's see. Julian, as we take a look here real quickly. He is. I believe he is on. He may be on the Bulls at the moment. He might not be at Windy City. He might actually be in Chicago at the moment. Let's see. Here is he. Is he in tonight's lineup? As it's a 2-point game now. It's a 3-point game now with 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. Let me take a look at the box score. Yes, Julian Phillips is with the Bulls at the moment. He's bounced back and forth between the G League, the G League and the actual Bulls at this point. He's played in 5 games. has yet to score a point to this point in his NBA career. In his 5 games, he's averaging all of 2.8 minutes of floor time to this point. So, sure, early returns, not great. But I'd love to see the Bulls get some draft capital and really try and rebuild that way rather than try to reload with some veterans for Levine. I'd like to see them make some get some draft picks, try to build up that way, even if they are second round. Of course, if it's all second rounders, that's a sucky trade, and I don't want it. But you got to have some firsts in there. But even if you're getting some second round picks in there, just some bites at the apple that way. All right, with that, we are going to take one last quick break here, and then I want to do college recap, and then we've got some events going on here in Chicago this week that I want to at least make you aware of. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this quick break.
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio, the IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Just about 6 minutes left in our show here tonight. Adam Karnick with you just for a couple more minutes. Want to do a quick college rundown before we get out of here. The week that was in the Big Ten, Illinois lost to Iowa 15-13, a tight game, but ultimately Iowa did manage to clinch the Big Ten West at the expense of Illinois. It wasn't all bad in the Big Ten, though. Northwestern beat Purdue 23-15. That gives Northwestern 6 wins on the season. David Braun, who was recently promoted to full-time head coach, they took the interim label off of him. Northwestern 6-5 overall. The Wildcats are bowl eligible. So crazy season there for the Wildcats, 6-5 overall. Quite impressive stuff going on there. Those two schools, of course, will be taking on each other this week down in Champaign. It'll be Northwestern at Illinois to close out the regular season in the Big Ten. In the MAC last week, Northern Illinois blanked Western Michigan 24-0. That put Northern Illinois at 5-6 overall, 4-3, good for second in the Mid-American West Conference. However, there's no way they're catching Toledo. Toledo is 10-1 overall and 7-0 in the MAC. Toledo will almost certainly be playing for the MAC title here in a couple of weeks. Northern Illinois will be finishing up against 1-10 Kent State on Saturday, so they actually get to play some Saturday action. Down in the 1AA level, the FCS over in the Missouri Valley last week, North Dakota beat Illinois State 22-21. Southern Illinois did beat Indiana State 38-9. Western Illinois could not get it done. They lost to South Dakota 48-6. Western Illinois will finish the season winless on the year at 0-11. Southern Illinois goes 7-4, 4-4 in the conference. Illinois State also 4-4 in conference, 6-5 overall there. Yeah, college football, not a good time for the DMV. No, I saw the end of that Maryland game. That was a rough one. Mike Pat, host of Let's Whine About DMV Sports. Yeah, I know that was a rough one in the DMV over the weekend. Before we get out of here, I do want to let you know, you may have heard the drop there for the IE Elite Wrestling show. The SoCal Saint hosts that Tuesday afternoons. Be sure to catch him. He will be previewing a couple of matches that are going on here in Chicago this week on Thanksgiving Eve over at Wintrust Arena, 6:30 Wednesday night. AEW, the All Elite Wrestling, will be having their annual Thanksgiving Eve Dynamite match over at Wintrust Arena. Be sure to check that out. And then also coming up this weekend, we've got coming up this weekend, November 24th, at Allstate Arena is SmackDown and Survivor Series, and then out at Rosemont on Saturday is going to be the WWE Survivor Series. So a couple of WWE wrestling events going on this weekend in Chicago. I was talking with SoCal Saint about this over the weekend, and he was saying that WWE match definitely is one that's got some wrestling people buzzing, because there might be some interesting celebrities making an appearance in that one. So be sure to check out the IE Elite Wrestling show tomorrow afternoon. to check out and preview those events. And of course, if you don't catch it live, of course you can catch that show and all of our shows here on the network on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify, any of our playback channels. That is going to do it for our show here tonight. Big shout out and thank yous to everybody that hung out in the chat room tonight. Thank you to Mike Pat, Taryn Rodriguez, Larry B. Thank you, gentlemen. Larry B, of course, for all the hard work you do behind the scenes here at the network. Thank you to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket, Beef Jerky. Be sure to go to their website, planetjerky.net. Free shipping on all orders of $50 or more. Right now, you will definitely find something that if you like meat and you like any kind of flavor profile, they have something there for you, and I promise you will enjoy it. Check them out, planetjerky.net. Coming up right after us tonight, it is Taryn Rodriguez and Set Point, getting us caught up on everything happening in the world of volleyball going on right now, so be sure to stick around and check him out. Programming note for next week, since the Bears will be on Monday Night Football. First of all, if you don't have any other way to catch the game, our sister station, USRN, will have the call of that game next Monday night. Since the Bears will be on Monday night, I will not be on Monday night next week. I'm still trying to figure out a time that I will be on, so stay tuned to Twitter or X at IESRC, at Adam_Kernick, at IE Sports Radio to stay tuned in on when next week's show will be, but it will not be next Monday night as the Bears will be in Minnesota taking on the Vikings. Until next week, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. To anybody that is traveling, be safe, be careful. Remember that the end goal is far more important than the time it took you to get there. Get there in one piece. Have a wonderful time with family, friends, enemies, whoever it may be. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy lots of food, lots of good drink, lots of good company, hopefully some good football. We will catch you all next week. Happy holidays, everybody. It's Adam Kernick for IE Sports Radio saying we will see you next time.